Time now for a look through the international papers with Solange Moujan. Hi, Solange.
Hi, Stephen.
You're starting with that story that's in our headlines in New Jersey and that nail-biting finish in the governor's race.
Yeah, it is this razor-thin margin that is making headlines in the U.S. press today. As Governor Phil Murphy, he just barely won re-election in New Jersey. And as Politico explains, that for Democrats, the win is, quote, on the upside of them, quote, an end to a curse of sorts. Why? Well, this is the first time that a New Jersey Democrat has won re-election in the state in 44 years. But the New York Times says this is just a small silver lining to the overall trend, which is of disgruntlement with the Biden administration. And Tuesday's results in New Jersey and in Virginia have created fears among Democrats about the midterms and the next presidential election. Now, for the Washington Post, their editorial board says that the solution for the Democrats lies in raising taxes for the rich. It says Democrats need to get on with those promises, ones that the paper says the Democrats have far from delivered on.
Cartoonists also covering this story in the United States. A lot of focus on attitudes towards Joe Biden.
Yeah, the British cartoonist Martin Moreland, he tackles Biden's slumping poll numbers and his popularity rating with the cover of The Spectator, writing that he is in a super bad place, a reference there to Superman and the movie Superbad. Now, for Patrick Blower, Biden's snoozing on the job. He is, to use a Trump nickname, Sleepy Joe, and the Democrats' donkey gets crushed by the Republican elephant. Now, the Washington Post also has gone with this donkey theme and done a bit of a wordplay with it. And Telney's has two of them being asked to be kicked in the derriere.
Another one of our top stories today is the situation in Tigray and in Ethiopia in general. What are the papers saying about it?
Well, the Ethiopian paper Addis Standard explains that a UN report was released Wednesday saying that there have been appalling levels of brutality amounting to war crimes. Now, the Ethiopian paper highlights, as you see there, the fact that the report stopped short of blaming one side or the other, saying both sides, all sides, allies included, were responsible. But for the New York Times, there is possible false equivalence going on here. It says that rights groups say the serious crimes have been overwhelmingly been done by Ethiopian forces. And for the French paper La Croix, the overwhelming responsibility lies with former Nobel Peace Prize winner Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who has not only, quote, lit the match, the paper says, but proven to be a cynical and blinded leader who created not peace, but suffering for all sides.
Solange, a story next that you've been looking at that won't be appearing in the Chinese press.
Yeah, no, Beijing's censors are scrubbing away at the moment. The Wall Street Journal explains that just 20 minutes after a Chinese tennis star posted accusations of sexual assault by a vice premier, those claims were wiped from social media and from the net, and all references to it blocked. Prior to the scrub, the tennis star wrote, quote, even if I am like an egg striking a stone or a moth darting into the flames and inviting self-destruction, I'll tell the truth about you, end quote. So some pretty strong words there. And what the Journal notes is perhaps the most high-level accusation to date towards the Communist Party.
Next to some COVID news and how it affects our brains. And it's not bad news.
No, it's positive news. The Guardian tells us that a new study has found that COVID may not actually infect the human brain as previously thought. It does infect, the study found, cells in the nose, but it does not alter neurons, which may mean that conditions like COVID fog, like the loss of smell or taste, well, they may not be as long-lasting as feared. Now the New York Times, well, it is also diving into the nether regions of our minds when it comes to COVID. It has a fascinating read about how the pandemic did change, for many of us at least, and in collective ways, how we dream. It did not create one kind of dream per se, but it did create trends. And above all, it was a unique opportunity to actually seriously study people's dreams across the globe. Now, the jury remains out about why exactly we have these quote-unquote strange nocturnal visions, but COVID, the article said, has helped researchers find out how important and sometimes similar our dreams are.
Dream studies to come. And from head to toe, Solange, you found an article about Please hold on to your breakfast if you're eating it. Smelly feet.
Sorry to be grossing people out there, but Slate.fr and its eternally strange questions has a new one for us. Why do some people's feet smell like cheese? Well, the article explains that our feet, get ready, here's the gross part. Our feet produce about up to a half a cup of sweat per day. And it's actually such humidity from this sweat that creates a haven for bacteria. And you guessed it, that bacteria is of the same family as the bacteria used in making cheese. Now, as for the smell, well, it comes from an overload of these microorganisms. But why do some smell like Roquefort and others like Munster and others not at all? Well, here Slate tells us that it actually has less to do with our feet and more to do with our noses. What is camembert for some could be odorless, dare I say roses, for others.
That story turned out much better than I was expecting.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I hope I didn't gross you out.
I was concerned. The picture of cheese, though, I enjoyed that.
Yes, I know. At least they didn't put feet on it.
Solange Mijan, thank you very much for that look through the international papers. We're going to turn next to